Buying companies is the easy part of business. You know, if you've got money and somebody wants to sell and you want to buy, you're going to negotiate a fair price and you're going to get the deal done. And we did that about 10 times. But the hard part was bringing the culture together. You take all these independent businesses, and some of them are run like, you know, the receipts are in a shoebox all the way to some really sophisticated company. And you'd bring these companies together in the scrap metal recycling industry, typically, you know, 60, 70, 80-year-old companies that were family-run businesses. And we would buy those companies and we would merge them together. So we're on an island. I mean, Florida's an island. And scrap could only go in basically a few directions. Up to this point, everybody that was on Monday, they were competitors, and Thursday they were partners with us. And so we had to create a philosophy whereby everybody benefited from the efforts of everybody. So I kind of started looking for something real simple. And my key is I take complex situations and make them real simple. And I came up with this thing, all for one. And it came from the 15th century musketeers, whose sole purpose was to protect the throne of France. And they did that with a mantra, all for one and one for all. It just so happened to be at Xavier, where I played basketball, their mascot was the Xavier Musketeers. So I hadn't thought about this concept for 25 years, and all of a sudden this is what we're going to use. It's going to be all for one. So we took this philosophy and we said, okay, every one of these managers who were really, really capable people could benefit by making a concentrated effort cooperating with each other versus competing with each other. So that was what we wanted to do. And now that's a great concept, but it was only at the boardroom level, managerial level. Okay, now by the time, at this time, we had about 350 employees, and I had 10 of them that were making $150,000, $200,000, and I had 300 that were making $10 an hour. Big disparity, right? So we were trying to figure out how to get this down to the shop floor, how to get this philosophy ingrained down to these guys that make $10 an hour that are hanging on to an existence of life. And that's who our employees were. And that's who a lot of our suppliers were. So we did a survey. We thought we were doing pretty good. And I really didn't realize what the hell I did know and what I didn't know. But anyway, we thought we were doing pretty good. So we do a survey after about 3 years at TMR, and we send it out to these 300 employees. And we're about half the size at this time as we are now. And the survey comes back, and honest to God's truth, I could have thrown up. It was so disgusting. You know, these were the comments, the written-in comments. Nobody listens to me. The bosses suck. There's drug use in the back room. This is the most unsafe place ever. The supervisors are screwing the secretaries. Nobody listens to me. Why do I want to work here? I'm absolutely nauseous. I think we're doing a pretty good job. Just the mere fact that we survived the first 2 years of a recession. So I called my operations vice president, Tim, and we had an HR person. We didn't even have an HR director at the time. I says, we're going to go on a traveling road show. We're going to visit every employee of the company. 350 employees in about 10, 12 locations at the time. So we travel, and we're going to visit with every employee. 1-on-1, 10-on-10, or 3-on-10, 30 on whatever. So the first place we go to Cocoa Beach, Florida. And place we bought. A lot of these people knew who I was because I was a broker that called on them prior to us acquiring them, but I had not spent that much time out in the field, so they really didn't know who I was. So there's 30 people that run this shredder in this employee break room. Now, if any of you guys are in the industrial side of the business, this is a typical employee break room. It's got picnic tables, it's got vending machines, it's got Coke machines, it's got potato chip machines, you know, it's got garbage cans, and it's kind of a dirty place. Anyway, that's where we're going to have this company meeting. So I go into, as I'm walking in the door, I honestly don't even know what I'm going to say. You know, it's just, all I know is everybody's pissed off about this. So I walk in there, and as I'm walking in the door, I thought of my father. 42 years he worked in a factory. He made $2.63 an hour was the most he ever made in 1 year. The one thing I remember about my father, who came from the Depression-era culture, Was always concerned about, is there enough work? Could you get laid off? That sort of thing. And that was always in the fear in the back of his mind. So he always was intimidated by the boss, president of the company, the owner of the company, in this small little town. You know, there's a big disparity between the haves and the have-not in small towns, and if you're from small towns, you know what I'm talking about. Well, I walked in there and I realized that my dad, who was intimidated by the boss, the president drove the big black car, lived in the big house, and was unapproachable, and it only came down to the shop floor to kick somebody's butt. So when I walked in there, and this went through my head like that, and as I walked in that door and I looked around, there's these 30 people sitting there, and they're staring at me with these blank eyes just... And I realized, holy cow, half these people are my father. They don't know who I am. They don't know what I stand for. I'm the big guy, lives in that big house, got the big black car, come in only once in a while, and only, and not resonate with anything. So I walk into this place and I literally just roll up my sleeves and I sit on the edge of the picnic table and I said, what we got going on, guys? And start talking to them. It took 10 minutes before anybody said peep.